OK, well, people have taken to the streets in Tel Aviv, also demanding a ceasefire, following Hamas's acceptance of a ceasefire proposal put forward by Egypt and Qatar. Families of the captives in Gaza say the Israeli government must show their commitment to its citizens, accept the deal and get the captives home. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has just released a statement also reacting to Hamas's response and also saying the War Cabinet unanimously decided that Israel will continue the operation in Rafah to exert military pressure on Hamas. Although the Hamas proposal is far from Israel's necessary requirements, Israel will send a delegation of working-class mediators to exhaust the possibility of reaching an agreement under conditions acceptable to Israel. OK, well, a reminder to our viewers that Israel has shut down Al Jazeera's operations there, and we are reporting from outside Israel. Mohammed Jamjoom is now live for us in Amman. And Mohammed, let's unpack this statement. We know that the Cabinet Office has met. We know that they appear committed to this assault on Rafah. Do we have then our answer to what Israel thinks to this latest proposal?
Well, Neve, this very much seems like a sort of a holding pattern response, because Israel is under a lot of pressure right now. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel is under a lot of pressure, especially from his biggest ally, the United States. He's under pressure from also the societal pressure there, those demonstrators that we were talking about just a moment ago that are in the streets right now, as well as from his far right-wing members of his coalition, people like Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is still pushing for a Rafah operation. Even before this response that you just read out a moment ago, you had a couple of hours ago Itamar Ben-Gvir, far right-wing national security minister, and he put on X that Hamas's exercises and games have only one answer, an immediate order to occupy Rafah. That's consistent with the rhetoric we've heard from Ben-Gvir for months now. He's been urging the Prime Minister to go into Rafah, and on many occasions he's threatened that he would walk away from the coalition and essentially collapse Netanyahu's government if the Prime Minister doesn't follow through with that. So right now you have a situation where essentially, if this turns out to be the case, Israel is sort of having it both ways. They're saying that they will send a delegation to Cairo because up until now they had refused to do so unless and until they had gotten what they consider to be a positive response from Hamas. And at the same time, they say they're still going to go into Rafah. Now, when you break that down a little bit more, Netanyahu has been saying on almost a daily basis for months that he is going to go into Rafah, that is imminent, that would happen with or without a ceasefire. So in one sense, it's not really very different from what we've heard from him leading up to this point. But on the other hand, what's different is that they are saying that they are going to send a delegation to Cairo. And that is something that would satisfy the demands of people in the opposition, like Yair Lapid. He's the opposition leader in Cairo. And just a couple of hours ago, he put a statement on X in which he urged the Prime Minister to go ahead and send a delegation to Cairo because it was of utmost importance to do whatever was possible to get those captives that are being held in Gaza back to Israel. So it's a very murky picture in Israel right now. I think the response that we're seeing really just goes to show how much pressure Israel is under and how much pressure specifically Netanyahu is under.
Right.
This is something that perhaps is calculated to satisfy both wings of the political spectrum.
Yeah, it is a very, very interesting calculation, isn't it? It gives, as you mentioned there, a real indication of the kind of impulses, the kind of pressure cooker the Israeli government really is at the moment. On the one hand, pushing on with the Rafah operation while continuing these hostage talks. Talking of pressure, you mentioned those protests. What more do we know about those demonstrations in Israel?
So, Neve, we're seeing these videos, and again, we're looking at videos because we are no longer in Israel. We're not allowed to report from there. I was just there up until yesterday, and now I'm in Amman. But on Saturday, I was in Tel Aviv, and I was at one of those weekly demonstrations where thousands of people converge in Tel Aviv and also demonstrate in other cities, in which they call for the government to do everything they can to enter into a ceasefire agreement and bring those captives home. So tonight what you're seeing hundreds of people marching in places like Jerusalem, where they are reportedly heading towards one of the residences of the prime minister, also in cities like Haifa and in Tel Aviv, which is really the epicenter of the protest movement. And they are demanding that the government go ahead and enter into this ceasefire. In fact, you have several of those groups allied with the family members of those captives that have put out statements in which they have said that they are glad that Hamas has accepted this ceasefire proposal, and they are urging Israel to go ahead and do so as well, and to prove its commitment to the citizens of Israel. So it's going to be interesting to see how many more people potentially come out tonight and in the days ahead. I can tell you that having just been at a massive demonstration on Saturday where there were thousands of people in Tel Aviv, anti-government demonstrators as well as relatives of those captives, they all were saying, they were chanting many times over the course of the evening, now is the time. There is a proposal on the table. Go ahead and sign on the dotted line. They don't want to see the government wait any longer, especially now, as we're hearing tonight, because they are hearing that Hamas has accepted this proposal. The people that we spoke with on Saturday were saying that they're very concerned for their relatives and loved ones that are in Gaza. They said that if they don't have this happen now, they're worried that if the Rafah invasion goes ahead, that will endanger those captives, that they will be in the crossfire, that they could potentially be killed. So they're saying this is a critical time. They're saying this is as close as Israel has been since past November to get into a ceasefire. And they say that the government should be doing its utmost to ensure that those captives can return home and to go ahead and enter into this ceasefire.
All right, Mohammed, Jamjoom reporting from the Jordanian capital, Amman. Thanks for that. A reminder again, of course, that Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside the state of Israel. We are reporting from outside the country, though.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.